What's up, gentlemen? How are we?
Hi.
So,
So,
Bob,
yes.
when you declare bankruptcy, but you've already defaulted on a case to a creditor, does the
Yes.
debt from CC go away on a sum 100?
That's a good question. I don't know. Little money, do you know? I
I
would
mean,
ask
anybody
an
in here a
AI.
lawyer?
Well, I'm not a lawyer.
AI said that it usually does, because I'm about to liquidate all my
oh yeah,
assets after I
if
declare
you
bankruptcy.
the only things that can't go are student loans and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought.
Depends on what state you are. Because Florida is interesting because Florida is the best place. That's why everybody runs there because
Chapter
if
12,
you declare
Chapter 8, I mean.
bankruptcy, you you get to keep your car in your house.
Same thing
'Cause
with
you need that
California.
before.
Same thing with California.
Yeah.
I don't know about the house. They might make you liquidate the house, especially if it's on lien, but that's a different thing. That's a different thing
Yeah,
completely.
you still
They'll
have
let
to
you keep
pay
your
for
car.
it, but if
They'll
you
let you keep your car.
say you
Yeah.
reduce all your expenses down to you could pay for your house and car in Florida, they allow you to keep it.
Well, in
They don't
California, if
tax
you have zero net
you.
income for, let's say, 6 months, you've been out of work for 6 months, you could just write it all off. Forget about it. Keep the car. Call it a day. That's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to liquidate my assets after the fact. Liquidate my assets after declare bankruptcy and bust a Trump, do a Trump. Because business bankruptcy is a lot different than personal bankruptcy, but, credit cards are easy to absolve usually. And you can't go to jail for stuff like that either.
Actually, the best thing you could
Anymore.
ever do is get a class C corporate, class LC, get an LC corporation, put all your debt in there, and then just declare bankruptcy and it doesn't hurt you personally. That's what a lot of people do.
Is that
But
true? Wait, but when taxes come around, if you're recognizing the assets, wouldn't you get double taxed for having the LLC? Or do you just close it off before the
well,
fiscal year ends? How does that work?
okay, well, one for thing is my buddy's brother. He bought him a truck because he had no job, so he was a truck driver. So he bought him a truck. He bought him like an $18,000 truck.
Yeah.
He was minusing expenses enough. It actually paid for his $90,000 salary that paid no taxes. His personal and his salary. So he actually used the LLC with a decent accountant to write off everything, his living expenses, everything, because he's running that business with that one truck.
But if you have pending cases, that wouldn't work, right? It'd have to be active debt. You'd have to have active and debt incurred with
Yeah.
the
You
original
could
creditor,
put
because
you have
once
to
because low money once they sell off the debt to a collector, like accounts receivable, then it's somebody else's debt. It's not even the same incurred debt, right?
Oh, right, yeah. You
Yeah,
can't
that's the problem.
proactively start a corporation and do it. You have to start it at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be while the
Create a
debt's
fund.
still incurred through the original creditor.
You can do that with a vesting too. You can create a trust, and the trust is interesting because like the sovereign citizens use that shit, but it's actually true. That's one part of their argument's true.
Oh yeah, trust
You
is
can
good.
make that and make you the arbitrary, the beneficiary of it, but
Yeah.
you don't really own it.
Trust is good if you're getting sued for like a class action lawsuit. Like if they're coming for you personally and not the credit card debt, they're coming for your assets, etc. That's when the trust would be good, because you're fundamentally locked out you're absolved from basically whatever. But that's the purpose of the trust. But the catch with the trust is that it's easy to pull in, it's hard to pull out, just like an East Asian chick's vagina, right? It's
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to pull out of the trust. You can't just do it, right? That's what the trust is. You're trusting the trust, basically.
But actually do an LLC from Delaware. They're like $300, and they're the best thing yet because you can get it. Your company can get a credit card. You can do everything it wants, and then you have no responsibility.
Well, here's the thing with
You just walk away, close the company, and say, and if someone calls you saying, "Yeah, that company's defunct. I don't know what to tell you, man." I was devastated. I was a full
yeah,
employee of
yeah,
it. I'm devastated.
yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing. You can always also, I mean, by the way, this isn't financial advice, but you can start an LLC, pay yourself a salary and loans, and then just take off. I mean, just take off to a different country. Recognize it as salary, pay yourself a loan in an LLC, and take off.
Yeah. Now, one guy when I was going to school, he showed us something. He did a thingamajig. He did a little fabric covered little push doll, And this guy was a judge, and he actually has a Jaguar, an airplane, and everything. He goes, you know this little thing, guys? This is
Yeah.
my airplane right here. Would you like to buy it? I'm charging $1,000 for it. Would you
Right.
like to buy
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
No, we don't want. Well, that's the reason. This is my business. Like I go across the country promoting it. Every time I go somewhere, I'm like, do you want to buy one? Okay.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's, I lose everything in 3 years. Thingamajig is not selling very well. The IRS says you can't keep running a business that's unprofitable. So here's Thingamajig 2. So you
Right,
get all
right.
of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because little money,
Yeah.
the IRS on the federal scale, this isn't state by state, they will only acknowledge your business, no matter what categorization, as a hobby only after 3 years of no income. So you can write stuff off for 3 years, have only incurred expenses and no recognized income, and still write it all off. That's the good thing
Yeah. And
about,
then
yeah.
3 years later, you make a Thingamajig 2. You just change your business. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I learned my mistake.
Right, exactly, yeah. Well, hey, it's a failed business model. What can I say? Time to start another one, right? But
Oh,
that's the idea.
shucks.
Yeah. Well, it's
Well,
fine. It's fine to
Oh,
have
yeah.
debt. It's fine to have debt. You just have to have debt on appreciating assets, right? That's the idea. Your debt to equity ratio is what matters.
Oh, yeah. That's why people were buying Hummers because everyone's like, why would anybody buy a Hummer? Because any truck now that's over 5,800 pounds is considered a business, medium class vehicle that's actually for business. So, like, for
Wow.
years, I drove a Hummer because every time I used it, they were paying me 56 cents to drive the vehicle. 'Cause I just say
Wow.
I went to go
Wow.
talk to someone about my business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You take a cruise in that with a couple of your buddies. You call it a business meeting, write it off. Yeah.
Well, I was taking it to go to work, and I was like, well, that was one of my privileges as an employee was to drive the company vehicle.
I mean, should you really be admitting this on a Discord server though, with open domain owned by Palantir? I wouldn't be. Just to be
yeah,
clear, this
this is
entire
common
conversation
knowledge.
is purely for entertainment purpose. What were you gonna say, Bob?
I
Oh, yeah.
just said this is common knowledge, to tax accountants and so on.
Sure,
You
yeah,
know
but
all these
nobody's
tricks.
like getting it. Those are boring people though. Nobody wants to be an accountant. I'm a certified tax
Yeah,
preparer.
now
You don't want to be me.
what you can also do to save a bunch of money is actually, if like say you were in a business like I was in aviation, I would get somebody that would go to a conference and ask me to pick up the brochures. Then all of a sudden I would run expenses up and claim that I'd buy the ticket, and then I would claim the hotels and all the travel expenses, even though I'd never been there.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Exactly.
Actually, we had a little group that like 20 people would go do that, would trade receipts and everything, make copies of receipts, saying, "Oh, okay."
Well, the idea that you as a small business would pay more in federal tax than Amazon is absurd. So I don't blame people for getting accountants and setting themselves proper for the future. I think that one of the biggest things about starting a business is either you play the game and you just write it all off and acknowledge it as a hobby for 3 years and do the thing that you were doing, or that your buddy was doing, or you start up a low OPEX, right? It's a low OPEX startup, an accounting business, lawyer consulting, whatever it is, title transfers, tax preparing, realtor. All of these things are virtually zero startup expense. All you need is really a laptop in your hands. That's all you really need. You don't even need a real
Well,
you don't even need a real business, little money. I mean, you could take a space in your room, you set up a desk, two monitors, whatever it is, a couple of documents, a printer. That's all it is. The IRS comes, if they come snooping around, they see your desk, small 2,000 square foot room, whatever, or house. They don't give a fuck. They're not gonna care. They're too busy going after the big
yeah,
fish.
you could take over your whole room. Your den could be your office, and you can write off. Say the square footage is like 500 feet, and your house is 2,000.
And you write it
You
all
put on
off.
top of your mortgage.
Yeah, you write it all off.
Yeah,
Who
I
cares?
mean, the one thing they can't tell is you're stupid.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's so funny because you think, oh, they're not going to buy that. No, they have to. You
yeah,
can make you can
Wow.
you can be selling you could be selling shit cones on the corner. They have to like honor that as a business, even
right.
though it
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, exactly.
There are many, many, many loopholes in the law. And in fact, I remember during George Bush 43, there was an average of one or two loopholes every day because lobbyists would lobby, and they put one or two new loopholes for mainly for businesses or special cases in the law every day, the entire time George Bush 43 was in office. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's slowed down. It's probably
No.
accelerated since then.
No. It's except, well, in certain ways, they've kind of closed off some certain loopholes through the SEC, right? The SEC has tightened the neck on everybody. And that's a problem because that institution, the SEC, is serving a massive disservice to all of us in the finance industry. They're making things harder for no reason. They came out and tried to say that we should have at least one elected diverse member of either ethnicity or sexual orientation in order to be represented on the S&P or some stupid bullshit like that. It's just retarded. The whole thing is pointless. But thank God that got appealed. It's no longer written into law. It was a real thing, if you can believe it. The SEC is one of the biggest closer of loopholes there is because they seal off the real wealth. The real wealth is sealed off by the SEC. All the crimes have already been committed. The people that were responsible for 2008, they walked away from it with a 5-year jail sentence. If anything, that's what they got.
Well,
At
most of
least.
them never got charged.
Most of them never got
look
charged.
at
Yeah, most of them never got charged.
the one thing is that most of the Dow does not pay taxes. They have carve outs. Now, the interesting thing is that everybody should do that because if the government gets paid not to collect taxes, why should I pay taxes? Like if
That's
I
right,
could
yeah.
find a way I'm not paying.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they did crack down on it. That whole thing about the Hummer being 5,800 pounds that doesn't fly anymore. They stopped that because they know everybody was doing it, like declaring it a non-personal vehicle because they weighed too much.
Right, yeah. Exactly. But the
This
SEC
is
is a
where
criminal organization. They're a criminal. What they do is criminal. They prevent people from getting rich. Literally. That's all they do. 67927.
And my friend, he's not the most smart. He's not the smartest bulb in the box, and he took that $18,000 truck and fucking wrote off his whole salary, his whole living expenses, and it's very easy. It's not too hard to do, actually.
Yeah, they'll
He
get you
still
for
does it.
that. They'll get you for that. They'll get you for that for sure. It's kind of like a big blip in the radar, right? How can they not see it? You're making yourself a target at that point. One of my uncles, he underreported. I think he underreported about a quarter of his salary, maybe less than that, maybe a fifth. Let's put it at that. Let's say he underreported $15,000. They came after him and charged him that plus an extra $5K. The IRS doesn't play around, dude. They'll make an example out of you. They were coming after Shakira. They were coming after Shakira and Martha Stewart for insider, all this stuff. But they don't care who you are. They'll make a big example out of you. They'll fuck you.
Well, you have to do it above board. Like one thing that his mistake, and he realized it again, was he could only do it like twice about his truck before he made a profit. Like it was a hard asset, so they let him go a little longer than 3 years. But the fact really is that after a while, they just told him, "Listen, you got to make another business, man. You're out writing so much off. You're not actually generating any taxes." So,
Yeah.
So you have to actually you really just have to make something up that's easy.
Yeah, you have to come up with something. You got to come up with something and have some paperwork to show. They're not just going to go away. They'll tap your phones. They've been doing this since the 90s, actually. The 2000s, they'll tap your phone. Whether or not they come after you, that's a government interest. But now they'll do it evenly. Now they don't care. Back then, they used to have the SEC back then used to pick and choose who they went after, right? Because the government interest. You cut them a check, they walk away, whatever. But no, yeah, that's what internal auditors are for, right? Those guys internal auditors are more impressive than lawyers, in my opinion.
Yeah, don't get too greedy. That's all. That's the big thing. Is like if you're trying to live your life at 50% more level than you normally would, so you can write off and destroy the company you created. That doesn't work. You know what I mean? You almost have to have the idea that I'm kind of investing like a real human being, and then they'll kind of have to leave you alone because you did nothing wrong. Your business, you put money into it, you thought it was going to succeed, and you took the tax deductions you could, and it just didn't. I mean,
most of these all startups fail. 80-90% fail.
Right. Yeah, they're not making any money. Yeah. In fact, it's actually in the negatives. It's all operating expense. Because let's say your pesky, dumb bitch of a wife wants to start a smoothie shop, and you're going to go ahead and start it. It's all expenses up front. Restaurants are the biggest failure in America. 75% of them fail. 75% of businesses that were restaurants during the years of COVID never came back up in California. Go
Yes.
figure. They all died. There's nothing for them to do.
Well, I go through the malls, strip malls, and so on here, and there's a lot of wreckage from COVID. Now we're starting to come back, but I was going to mention two other little factoids, which you may or may not know. So under Biden, he appropriated. This is partly, I'm sure, Obama's doing. He appropriated $50 billion extra to ramp up. Remember, they were going to have these 85,000 new IRS agents hired per year, trained on automatic weapons. I think, this is going to be Obama's. Remember, he wanted a domestic military to beat down on the citizens, bigger than the U.S. military. So I think this is the way they were going to do it. It's through the IRS. Anyway, they spent
Well, you
$50
know what
billion
they're
to
really
try and collect more taxes, going after,
well, you
of
know
course,
what they're
they,
really after. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. I'm
they, they
ADHD.
say
I'm
they're
sorry,
going
Hal.
after the rich guys. They always say that. But in fact, they went after, small people, middle class and so on. So they spent, $50 billion extra a year, and when they looked at it, they'd only collected another 2-3 billion in taxes. Spending 50 billion to collect 2-3 billion in taxes a year is not really a great deal. So I think that kind of went away. So that's one data point. I just thought I'd mention. Maybe you knew that or not.
Yeah, that's right.
Both parties, the most scary part, both parties talk about the wealth transfer of the baby boomers. Like Trump mentioned it. I mean, the Democratic Party had some real good plans for it. They want
Oh
to do
yeah, they want
preemptive.
there's trillions of
They
dollars
want
going
to
to
do
move
a
hands, and
preemptive
they want a
capital
big piece of
gain.
that. Everybody
Well,
does.
you know what Kamala was going to do? She was going to implement a preemptive capital gain since somebody
Correct. Right.
died and never paid capital gains, right? Because of
Yeah, yeah.
the carry
Well,
forward
well, it's
deal.
not even just that little money. She wanted to tax unrealized gains on stock
Correct.
margin, right? That's
Yeah,
insane, which is insane. It's a
yeah,
speculative tax. It's not, it's worse than a carbon tax. It's a speculative tax. It hasn't even happened yet. You haven't even realized the money. But what
Yeah.
a lot of these people, they don't understand. The
Now,
stock market is like this. You don't make any money, you don't lose any money until you pull out, right? But they go,
right.
well, these people are making money regardless because they're inside traders, and that may be true. This may not affect the average person, but the reality is it's just absurd in principle. It doesn't work. It's absurd in
Well,
principle.
it's terrible because you can claim a maximum of 2,000 year in losses. Yeah, they have unlimited gains, right? You make a stock hit and you make millions. They're going to tax you at 20, long term at 20, and but they'll never reimburse you for your losses. Like it's stocks that you
That's
lose.
right. Yeah.
Okay. Can I add the second point, which I've observed? My mentor's wife, and also there's some fairly wealthy people that I was sort of, I don't know what you want to call me, the dog walker, the house sitter, the dog sitter, and so on for about 10 years. I got a good look at both of these two. So in both cases, the wife would literally spend, now, of course, they're kind of like finance pro in a certain way. The wife was so insane about nickel and diming the IRS, or in my mentor's wife's case, both the IRS and Revenue Canada, because they were dual citizens. She would spend 30-40% of her life bugging around with trying to find loopholes and trying to make sure she dotted the I's and crossed the T's and so on, finding every possible way to write off this, that, and the other. And then they would go to a professional to prepare. In both cases, of course, the one in dual citizen, they have to go to two professional preparers, one in Canada, one in the U.S. They have to negotiate between the two because there's a treaty on taxes between the countries. So I watched this for many, many years. In fact, the mentor's wife, who's up in Canada, she's literally batshit crazy, basically insane for those 4 or 5 months she's doing this. You can't talk to her because she's just crazy with the stress. And I watched this and I just thought, spending so much time, of course, you could be like finance bro, you enjoy this, Like, I don't enjoy it. I think it's just a waste of time. But they're very, very proud of how they try to do this, stick it to the tax man. And so instead of putting
Native
that time,
American.
holy fuck, you'd stop butting in like an asshole. So,
So true.
Did you have like a temper
I mean,
tantrum?
so anyway, so instead of actually making more money, putting that time and energy, 40% of your life into making more money, they kind of got off on this business of sticking it to the man. And now, Finance Pro, I don't know if he personally enjoys this. I think he kind of does. So yes, if you enjoy it, that's one thing. But I don't enjoy this. I'd rather make more money. I just pay the tax. Fuck
Well,
it.
here's the thing. You can't make, okay, a lot of people will say, if you're 20 years old, you need to focus on making money. That's not the idea. That's the wrong idea. If you're making good, quick money as a youngster, you're doing something criminal. Let's all put it how it is. Everybody knows that this is true. You shouldn't be making good money as a young guy. You should be solidifying your education, things that people can't take away from you, starting up small business costs so that you can build your model, build the fucking client list. That's what we're talking about here. That's where the real cheddar's at long term. You don't want to be going to jail for small time, quick money. That's a mistake that a lot of guys make when they're young. So you shouldn't be making any money. You should be eating shit as a 25-year-old, being a financial advisor trainee. I don't care what you're doing. You get your CPA, your CFA, your level 1, your level 2, so you get access to platforms like Bloomberg. That's where the real trading happens. And I was telling, Bob this yesterday. It's not about getting it quick. It's about getting it secure. It's about getting it stable. It's about getting it self-sustained. Because you don't want to be working for a company your entire life. That's the idea. That's the idea.
Well, I got to admit, though, I was being that financial bro type thing because even though I don't spend much time on a business that I'm not actively pursuing profits in, so it's not very hard. It's not a consuming my life. If it does, I'll stop because I'm not. That's supposed to be just an additional part of my life, not supposed to be the main part of it. But I remember when I was in Denver a few years ago. Actually, it was 2 years ago. I worked in the Fidelity building, and I wanted to go to Fidelity. I talked to all the employees about getting hired as a to train for Series 7, because I realized one of the girls helped me. She realized what I was trying to do. She goes, "You want to know about the outflows of the 401ks, right? The traditional stocks that Fidelity doesn't have, right? Because you have access to that as a trader." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, I can help you." So,
Right.
because you get
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see all
Yeah.
the
Of course.
outflows, and that's where you
And
make
and
real money.
and
I
look,
mean,
you don't have to be the smartest guy in the world to get your Series 6 or your Series 7. You just need to find the right company to sponsor you, because there's a lot of life insurance sales bullshit companies like Northwestern Mutual, or to name a couple. They're out there. They're out there. That's the reality.
yeah.
And they'll try to get you with this whole idea that, it's contract work, you work for free, you get people into office. No, that's not what you want to do. You want to work for a basic, very decent salary. It could be nothing. It could be nothing. You could be making, I don't care, $14, $15 an hour, but at least at the end of it, you're getting guaranteed pay plus your Series 6 plus Series 7. You don't want the Series 6 or Series 7 to be dependent upon making profits for the company, because that's how they get you as a slave, right? That's how they get you as a slave,
The
commission-based
Series
pay
6,
only, yeah. You do base pay
the
only, you
Series,
avoid the commission.
yeah, I mean, the biggest thing why you join a company like that is to get your Series 6, because that's the financial planner that you need 3 years, right? Like, your Series 7, you can get within 6 months of any place, right?
Yeah, which is
You could
nothing.
actually go
7
for your
months of
Series,
studying, yeah.
yeah.
Please, I'll do that over 3 months. I was staying with my girlfriend. She was 32 years old, very supportive at the time until she became a bitch. But the reality is, I became a CTEC preparer almost overnight. It took me about a week. I ran through that fucking packet of tax code. It's complicated, yes, but it's also simple, right? And this is why I tell guys, look, $500 up front, 300, $400 up front, you can become a fucking realtor overnight. If you're in a big city, please, it's easy to market. Just undercut the big guy. Undercut the big guy. Make a fucking website on cloudai.com. It's extremely easy. It's never been easier to make a website. Marketing expenses are completely out the door. 3D modeling, all of that shit's out the door. Upfront costs for operating expense, all that shit's out the door. It's almost $0 to start up a business.
Oh yeah, I had a dream. I started a business. I took a Udemy course on IP telephone. right? How to make virtual AI basically call center, and it's free software. So I went to in New Hampshire. I went to businesses and said, "Hey, I can offer you a forwarding service that basically will. You can just go. You can get all your messages. You can have a presence, right? You can actually, it's have a virtual receptionist. Basically, it'll announce your company profile, the whole deal, and I'll just charge $20 a month. Like if you want me to set it up in your system so it's IP phone at a discount price, I'll be happy to do that. I got so many companies that let me buy 20 different, 30 different phones. I was for the landscaper, the small little travel business where I get 10 phones that I make $150 on the phones, run their server for them and on presence and then in the cloud. I was making like $150 a month from them.
You said the N word.
So just from a Udemy course, I ran that thing for 6 years actually, and I had 20 customers that were paying me $15 a month to run a $10 cloud service that cost me a month. Right?
Yeah.
There's businesses out there.
Well, interesting. Yes, may have to roast myself, gentlemen.
Inward, inward, inward.
Yeah, I would love to get my Series 6, but I just can't. Uh, I lost that opportunity. I think with Fidelity. That's what I should have done. I should have made that plan and kept to it.
I'm originally from. Hi guys, I'm from Israel. I hope you're all good. You're all okay, I guess. Nice meeting all of you guys.
Hate Israel.
I did.
What? Why?
Because Israel is stinky.
No, we are the only democracy in the Middle East. Look, hear me out,
Democracy is
guys.
stinky.
If you're not Hamas or Hezbollah, then we don't hate you. Okay? If you're not these stinky, ugly Palestinian niggers thinking they're cool, then we don't hate you. We only hate the Palestinians. We want to kill all 5 million of them living inside our territories. This is our holy land according to your
Nobody
religions.
cares about you.
Yeah,
Your
nobody gives a
religions.
shit about you.
My religion doesn't
Where
have
are you
anything to say
from, Mike?
about you.
Where are you from? You seem like you're from Morocco coming and talking some bullshit.
Morocco.
You beat. Yeah, look at your profile, you black ass, long nose nigga. You black as fuck. Oh, nigga,
Calm down,
die,
calm down,
bitch.
calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down.
Bitch. خبعتي خبخوشك.
Why are you spurging out? Just calm down. There's a conversation going on before you joined in and said you were from Israel.
Yeah, like 10 times. I have been kicked from 20 servers. For no reason.
Well, that's a lot.
They just hate me.
Oh, that's normal though,
Everyone
man.
is anti-Semitic. Everyone is
Yeah,
anti-Semitic. Nobody does that.
but that makes
I'm not
sense though because
anti-Semitic. I love Arab.
the Jewish people have been kicked
Yeah.
out of 127 countries. So you getting kicked out of 16 services, you're not doing a good job.
No, bro,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. This is just
That's right.
anti-Semitic, you know. We just, guys, honest, I won't
You
lie
need to
to you.
pick
We
up your
just hate the
game.
Christians, the Muslims, and the Palestinians.
I do actually.
That's
That's true.
hilarious. That's hilarious. Where'd that
I hate
Bobcat
the
Where
go?
are you
Christians,
This
the
from?
smart guy.
You
Muslims,
lucky
and
duck.
the
Where are you
Jews.
from? Wait, you black
Oh,
nigga. Where
dude,
you
so
from?
you're
You lucky duck.
slacking.
I'm from
Why?
America.
Ask why you're
The lucky
slacking
duck one.
because you only got kicked out of 16 Discord servers. You got to pick up
Yeah.
the activity, my friend.
You lucky
Where do you
duck. Where
think
you
I'm
from?
from?
You
I'm from
lucky duck.
America.
America up my. Oh, I love Trump. God bless him. He's an ally to us. I love him so much.
But yeah, no, back to the conversation we are having earlier, Little Money. I think more people need to lie to recruiters and lie to companies about what their resume is. You say because me personally, I've never owned an internship in my life. I lie to companies all the time. I've never been a part of an
Oh,
internship.
Egyptian faggot.
But I tell them that I was a financial, intern at Evergreen Financial Institutions, whatever.
That's very Jewish
Whatever
of
it
you. I
takes,
like that.
whatever it takes. And you don't lie about anything that you can't already do, right? So if you lie about, being certified in this and that department, let's say you're a Python code or whatever, you don't have any certifications, you should lie about that if you really know how to code in Python, because it doesn't matter. You just don't lie about anything you can't already do, and then you'll be good.
Yeah, it's just the keywords, right? That's why like going to Udemy and taking a $15 course for 2 or 3 hours is so impressive to people because you can use all those keywords in your resume. But there's a company, like I thought it was a joke. Like they have these internet things running about Sprout. It's a service that tailors your resume for the job. So it writes an AI cover letter for you for each job, but it also takes all your resume, then ask you a series of questions like, can you do this? This is what the job wants. Can you do that? It starts adding keywords to your resume to pass the AI screening.
Right,
So,
that's the idea, yeah.
like if you know a job like requires you to know a little bit like rudimentary Python code or something, you could apply for it and just go pay for your $10 course and take an hour to read it. Now you're pretty much where they want you to be. So yeah, you can play the system.
Yeah, exactly, of course. And look, this is kind of what they want you to do, because they don't know. The companies, it's kind of like this. The companies don't know any better. They screen through AI, but what they really don't realize, and is unintended, is that they're filtering out the candidates that they want. Because just because you have all these jobs, this job experience and skills, doesn't mean you're an unqualified person. It just means it's not listed in your resume. And a lot of people don't realize this. They don't realize this. It's not even their fault. They just implement the
Oh,
AI.
well,
They walk away from it, but they should be, parsing through the shit themselves. They just can't because of the scale of the company. The scale of the company doesn't allow them to waste so much money on labor to look through these resumes.
Well, the big thing also too is it's not that they're going to ever loosen it because, jobs before realized that if they can get 60%, if they can get you to 70% of what their average person in the office could do in 6 months, that was awesome. That's all they expected an average worker to do, and then start working on that 70 to 80 or 90. But now people are not expecting you to work over 2 3 years, like the jobs, like I've seen the jobs go from lifetime to 7 years to 5 years to now to 2 years. So when you apply to a company, the company assumes that you need to be like at 70% when you walk in the door because they know they're not going to have you very long. Like, they're not going to treat you
Right,
well
yeah,
enough to stay.
exactly.
you know
And now they're saying this stuff out loud. They go, hiring for work, 6-month contract, I'll tell you up front. They'll tell you straight up front. As soon as this project's done, you're fucking out of here.
yeah. These recruiters are expecting you to move for this and pay your living expenses. And I told them, I go, I'm not desperate. So you need to pay my living expenses. If you give me a contract less than 6 months, you're paying my living expenses, or don't talk to me. I mean,
Right,
because like,
exactly, yeah. I mean, don't even
doing
call
J-
me. Yeah, don't even call me. Don't email me. Don't talk to me. There's no point. There's no point. They go, but look, you're going to be able to put this on your resume. It's this and that company, ABC position. I don't care. I don't care. I could just lie about that right now.
I've had people, I had recruiters and companies want to hire me for a contract. I have 20 years experience in that particular field. And it's like it's an insult because it's like, dude, I don't need to prove myself. Like I prove myself over multiple companies on my resume. I
Right,
don't need to
exactly.
prove it, that I can do your job. you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a well, I mean, we have sort of we have a massive unemployment issue in the United States. I mean, that's why AI is scaring me because we probably pretty much have a 14% unemployment rate, and you're going to add a little bit of AI trickery in there too.
Yeah, 100%. Well, a lot of people don't realize this. The unemployment rate is actually higher than the amount of jobs available. And that's not even accounting for jobs that are, like you said, 6-month contract work, part-time labor, things that, are inconsistent, commission-based jobs, shitty jobs that are going to go away next month. All of this stuff, and it's scary. It's scary what's happening in America. I genuinely
Yeah,
can't see past 5 to 10 years for this country. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard.
yeah. No, I agree with you. Like they did a survey of 10,000 people 2 weeks ago, and they asked them, like, how was your employment? And 25% of the respondents said, I am not working full time. I'm working gig economy, or I have a full time job that's below my skill set, way below my skill set and my previous salary.